now, and we are recording as well, sir. How are you?
Amazing. I'm good. Doing well. Yourself?
Of course, now, great until my voice just cracked.
Excellent.
You know, it is what it is.
These things happen.
What do we got going on here? April 21st, 2022.
To Juan.
Not your average show. Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
We got
Yes.
so much. We got a favorite subject tonight.
Oh,
Let the
yes,
hate
we
comments
do.
begin now.
I mean, yeah, it's just the way it is, people.
Yep.
Just the way it is.
I guess, yeah, I gotta start listening to some new Harris Heller stuff to see if it's time to start changing this tune that we have in the background running. We'll see.
I admit, I have not either. I will check it out. He's always got
got
crazy stuff going on. He's super busy.
Yep. All right, gonna go live in 10 seconds. Why not?
Why not?
5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Not Your Average Show. Corey and Mike back with you again. Like we said, April 21st, 2022. And of course, right now, we go live and I got a frog in my throat. So how are you?
Good. Yeah, doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, no problem. Yourself?
Frog throat. Yeah, better. I'm doing pretty good. Tired. Tired. Been a long week. Toddler stuff going on, you know? And then working hard and stuff like that. So pretty basic,
Yeah, cool.
average. Got stuff to do kind of week. But guess what? We've got some stuff to talk about tonight on the old show. We took a lot of flack for this back in December, January about Trevor Jacob.
Yes.
And
Trevor Jacobs.
the FAA banhammer has come, and we'll talk about that one in a little bit of detail, and then maybe a little bit of side combo on that one. Floating a little as well. And then secondly, we got drone Interceptor. This one's going to come to you from what is it? Atlas, right? New Atlas.
New Atlas. Yeah, that's where we. Yeah,
Pretty cool. And then look, I hate to do this, but we got to beat a dead horse because it's getting beaten up its own. We're going to talk about To the Moon or Bust, the SLS, the laser mounting, and you know we've talked about this program. It might struggle, and we hope it doesn't, but it's already struggling, and it's not such a great thing for them. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight's show. Hope everybody's doing well. Chat's up and running, so that's a nice bonus for tonight to get things started. Got anything else you want to
excellent? Yes.
Want to kick off?
No, I mean, yeah, it's we got a few interesting things to talk about. Stuff that we, like we said, we talk about things and then we may circle back around and bring you some new facts if there's something new. So that's kind of what's going on here. So
and there's some new.
See how it goes.
There is some new. Are you ready? Ready to rock and roll here? You're good.
Let's do it.
Good.
Yeah,
All right. So, hey, folks. A couple of you people out there in the old internetville decided to toast us a couple months ago, and we picked up the Trevor Jacob story, right? If you're not familiar, Trevor decided that it would be a great idea to take his airplane and basically jump out of it and claim he had an incident or an accident, and while doing so, he crashed it into the hills of California on his way out to, I think it was Mammoth. I don't care which place it is anymore. It's really not important. So with that, this one's coming to you from The Verge and a couple other locations. It's also from AV Web. Basically, the FAA will revoke YouTuber's pilot's license after plane crash video. Now, we played the video on our actual show before. We showed some of the particulars, right? And, basically, things aren't going to turn out well for Trevor. And when we mean by not turn out well, we mean, basically, they're coming after him for the same things that we pointed out in the show before, which is the FAA came back and said it was staged. The door was open already when he had the engine failure. He never attempted a restart, never made any Mayday calls. He never attempted to reach any safe landing zones, and he disposed of the wreckage. And Corey will fill us in about the details of what they actually sent him and said about what's about to happen to his license. So go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to put the link down below with some of the other things, our normal links down, the details below. But basically, it's a link straight to the redacted, the Freedom of Information document, redacted, some details, of course, but going out to Trevor. And basically, it talks about various things that say even things like prior to the flight, multiple cameras were attached to, including the point directly at the propeller. In order to record video footage of the inside and outside of the flight, it said you put on a sport parachute, a backpack container, which they say you didn't have before. You open left side pilot door before you claim the engine had failed. Prior to jumping, you made no attempt to contact ATC. Some things that Mike had already said, and a few other things that go down through there. You can read it. I think it's 6 pages. Down there, the last sentence or the last paragraph in the main body says, whether or not you elect to appeal from this emergency order, you must immediately surrender your airman certificate to a person listed at the address listed. In the event you have lost or destroyed the certificate, you'll be required to execute a sworn declarations setting forth, basically saying that you are unable to submit it. So, and then it talks about some other things, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if he doesn't submit it by the time they say so, up to fines of at least $1,000 a day. I mean, again, as Mike kind of said in the intro, you guys have gave us plenty of your thoughts on this subject prior to today on multiple videos. I actually even saw a comment on one of our previous videos on this posted today by somebody who, and I mentioned to Mike before, I said, this is still something going on. Somebody comment on today. We could talk about it on the show today because there's been an update, of course. I mean, guys, just to review, like, we're both pilots, but we're not claiming to be knowing everything, but we do have some experience in the aviation world. And we just kind of looked at some of the things that a professional pilot or somebody who even had been trained on general stuff to do in emergencies, general training, stuff that's written in the FAR, the regulations. And it just seems sketchy.
It was
that
sketchy.
This was filmed this way. And again, we don't know this guy. I didn't know him before this story came out. We have nothing against the guy prior. I don't know who the guy is. I know he's an Olympian. I understand that. But the point being, we had nothing against him prior to the video.
No, he's an ID-10T and a Pen 15 is what he is. But here's the best part, okay?
Yeah.
When you get written up for doing dumb stuff with the FAA, and they quote a FAR, right? 14 CFR 9113A, Federal Aviation Regulation states that no person may operate an aircraft in careless or reckless manner so that it endangers the life or property of another. Now, being familiar with this from two perspectives. One, as helicopter pilots, we were always allowed to fly, quote unquote, lower than most airplanes in certain environments, with the knowledge that we were not going to present a greater danger to the public or property below. Okay? Whereas airplanes have a slightly different rules and regulations set to them, which prohibits them from flying in a certain weather, and we could always get away with certain things in helicopters a little differently. But once they quote that one part right there, they're saying that effectively his license is gone for a year. But
yeah, yep.
Well, let's go a little bit further than that. The FAA is not done with this, because once you surrender it, then that means that the second part will probably come, which means they'll review after a year and probably say you're never getting this back. Because
it doesn't. Again, if you guys don't know, just because you return your license into the FAA, it's revoked. You surrender it. Doesn't mean when this year is over, you just get it back. That's not how that works. Yeah.
Okay, wait. So this is the section that says no application for a new airman certificate shall be accepted from you, nor shall any such certificate be issued to you for a period of 1 year from the date of service of this order. Now, so the interesting part there is that also means that if they revoke this, okay, he's probably, if he's ever going to have a chance to get back in the air again, he's going to have to recert. And
yeah, he's doing a 709. I think it's 709.
Right? And then the second part of that is, you know what? On every one of those recertifications, he could keep going up in the air, and they're going to just say, no, you failed. No, you failed. Or they just might not assign, an examiner to it. There's lots of ways that this is going to turn around and possibly come back to hurt him. But we'll see. The FAA has done other things before. This could end up as a legal battle. But the fact that he was solely responsible for this event, and he recorded the footage of his crash in the most absolutely foolish way you could possibly prove that you shouldn't be trusted to ever handle an aircraft and probably not even drive a car again. You did it to yourself.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, because you said before the show one thing that I said I wish you would say it on the air, and what was it?
I don't remember exactly verbatim, but the point was, anybody who has has wholeheartedly understood and adopted what a professional pilot is meant to mean as you exhibit the professional attitude you carry yourself in, whether you're at the airport or not, or whatever. You would hope and you strive to encourage others to be the same level of professionalism that you exhibit whenever you're in an area, right? So if you're, just imagine if you guys are in a car and you have to drive on the highway with other people, you would hope those people give the same diligence and attention to safety and maintaining a safe, operating that car in a safe way as you hopefully do, right? And I'm taking that from Mike, to elaborate, what we said before the show. I wouldn't want to share airspace with the guy. I mean, I'm saying somebody who does this for views could, I just make something up. They could be taxiing to the runway. They could hold short, and then the aircraft just catches on fire. Get out and they film it, and then I'm like sitting behind them on the ramp waiting to go, and I'm like, so the aircraft's on fire. I mean, and now knowing it was just for the views, I mean, it's like, this is
right.
You don't even want to share airspace with somebody who doesn't take that kind of level of professionalism just to.
That was it. That was the comment. And here's the other part, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's very few people that I've come across, and myself included, right? That when you take on the responsibility of becoming a pilot and you understand how much money you put into that process, and then the second part is where it says for the first time, this is a privilege, right? And rightfully so, it is partially a privilege in the aspects of what it takes for you to maintain that. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that becoming a pilot made me a more responsible human as in general in life. Okay, overall, because of you understand what it's like to take on the responsibility of even teaching people, but even moving forward in the airline industry and so on and so forth. Once you have the respect of actually having that license, but then you also have not only that, the huge responsibility of being responsible for the people that are behind you that are innocent passengers in your domain of safety, and you have to hold yourself to the highest standard. Once you've adapted that as a principle of your actual job, every other job to a certain degree pales in a little bit of comparison, because that in and of itself can be tremendously stressful. But the fact that a sole individual could take that privilege and destroy the actual principles of airmanship right off the bat for such a reckless cause is, I think, terms to revoke it forever. But that's me.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah. If and I certainly we haven't heard the end of this saga. Whether he repeals it or not. Again, I'm sure we haven't heard the end of it, and it's like we said before, until we have like all the facts laid out. Which again, we don't have all the facts at this moment. We have more of the facts, but we can just say I wouldn't want to share airspace with him. I mean,
no, not at all.
All the pilots out there know what I'm talking about. There's people that probably have pilot's licenses, and you're like, please don't ever be at the same airport I'm at. I just don't want to have to deal with that, and the people in the back, as you said. I mean, it's not just you flying. I mean, yeah, you get to the airport safe and land it safely. Cool, they're all with you, but nevertheless, they're back there and they are just passengers.
Yep.
They are not fully aware of any of the sounds the aircraft makes, the signs you give to the cabin crew. Things have happened. They don't need to be part of that. And they're just passengers. It's your responsibility to care for them and
do your best,
stay professional and do your job. So, but anyway, yeah, there you go.
Hey, you know what? If he gets a chance to come back around one day, I hope he has to work for it, fight for it. Yes, there's redeeming qualities and all, but not this trash. So, anyhow, let us know what you think in the comments below. Trevor, sorry, bud. You're not getting any votes of approval here, and I'm happy the FAA pulled your ticket. And you know what? So be it. If you're upset about that, hey, leave us a nasty comment below, because we don't care about pretty much anything past the fact that he got just deserves. That's it.
Yeah.
My feeling.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Yeah.
There you go. All right, like, subscribe, follow. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Whatever. Tired. All right. We didn't discuss the order, did we?
Yeah, you want to do the drone or SLS stuff?
Am I doing drone? Okay, I'll do drone. Sure, I'll do.
What's that?
I said I'll do the drone. That's fine.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll move on to that, and then we'll wrap it up with SLS. How's that?
Amazing.
All right. So I'm actually kind of really impressed with this next one, and I'll tell you why. Primarily because once you see this little clip that's actually off their website, this one first actually comes to us from New Atlas, right? And they're basically saying here that there is a drone out there, a drone interceptor that actually pops off its own props to deploy a drone catching net, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
it's cool.
called the I think something like that. But here's the thing: it's by this guy Oleski the Svinsky, and
Yeah, I apologize.
yeah,
I'm not gonna
not
get
gonna
that
make
right
that
either.
right. Cool looking drone. Before we even go into it, what we're gonna do is gonna play a quick video off of his actual website. That actually goes through, his what they're gonna call a net gun philosophy here, and we're just gonna play this quick video, and then we're gonna talk about it real quick. So this is pretty cool.
Yep.
This drone interceptor is designed to catch light UAVs. High power to weight ratio is a competitive advantage of this concept. It allows the drone to fly fast. At the moment of attack, the rotors accelerate and detach from the frame. At the same time, the net fastening straps are released. The Kevlar net blocks the target's rotors and disrupts the glider control. The interceptor can be reused. The interceptor descends using a parachute and emits a sound signal. Drone rotors are used to spread the net. High-energy rotors allow the use of a larger net. The interceptor does not contain any prohibited components. Racing drone components were used. Several containers with interceptors can be placed on a patrol car. A racing pilot can single-handedly operate the complex. In a navigation mode, the drone is controlled like a multi-copter. In an attack mode, the drone is controlled like a plane. Telemetry data is available to the operator in real time. A simulator was used to predict technical performance. Before an attack, the target can be circumflown for identification. The innovation was first bench tested. The subject of the invention is a airframe, motor mounts, net, and parachute fixtures.
All right, so terrible dubbing on that. That's the first thing I gotta say. The dubbing's absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
I want to know your thoughts right
Yeah.
off the bat because it's a pretty cool concept, great design, but I have a couple of things that I'm worried about. But go ahead, tell me what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so first off, yeah, the video is not the greatest, but it's showing obviously the basic idea and the design. I like that it appears to use components that aren't like
Mhm.
proprietary, like things you don't need to, because partly this drone appears that it's not meant to be
Right.
super expensive, like cost prohibitive to whoever might be needing to use it. And one thing I thought I noticed too in the video is when we saw camera view of the four rotors shooting in slow mo, shooting away and catching
Mhm.
a drone. I thought I saw that the net
This
wasn't
drone
fully
interceptor is
across, like there
designed
was
to
a gap
catch
in the
light
middle of
Right.
the net.
UAVs.
Could just be maybe not the case, but nevertheless, it's interesting that the way this drone works is it kind of is a one shot, right? You shoot the net and then hope you got the drone because your own drone is no
Right.
longer flying. Where there's other types of systems you guys may see, and there's jammers, there's other things that are made so that you're not like losing you don't have like one shot and you're kind of done. But nevertheless, I have seen other drones that are quite this kind of design, and they're also all very quick, like fast, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, you need to be able to catch up to whatever drone you're trying to catch. And But I mean, yeah. What do you
All
think,
right,
man?
so I like
yeah.
everything you pointed out is great, right? You're right that there's the componentry and everything that's basically put together here. It's not trying to do amazing, off the shelf things. It's basically taking a quadcopter with these ejectable motors and making it into a net. Brilliant
Mhm.
idea. Problem. Anything that operates that fast and still has a physical operator that doesn't have a level of automation in it, that still has to trap another drone or another device that's flying, unless that other drone is completely stationary, which in this particular event, it showed it as being primarily stationary, or unless it's on a trajectory path that is fairly easy to capture. If this thing was going up against, say, an FPV or some other type of drone that had some other nefarious, interests in being in that area, it's going to be a
Or anything actively maneuvering,
the
honestly.
operator is still going to have to do this because it's got a physical operator. And, I'm used to things that have operator error, especially when it comes to aircraft, and especially if you're going to engage two foes in basically air-to-air combat with just a net on a device that's going to be tricky to work in that manner, right? So I think the application's fantastic, but I think you also need an AI component that's actually taking this one step further to make it a truly successful device. Because at those speeds, unless it's almost an object on a constant trajectory and doing very little else except straying into the wrong place, you have to have easy pickings for this thing to work properly, right? And I don't think this particular device is an easy pickings device.
Yeah, it does seem, at least in this thing we have here, that it leverages the skill
Yeah.
of the operator, or it leans on the skill of the operator. So, and if you guys are watching, please leave your comments below with anti-drone stuff. We're talking about just one anti-drone thing we found, and yeah, it looks like it could work for sure. But I agree, yeah, it looks like that it would need some type of wire to track its
prey.
object of interest, whatever,
Yes.
if it is a nefarious drone or not.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's not to say that it can't be done, with a human operator, but that guy's going to have to stay proficient on this
Right.
thing. He's got to be ready to act. So sure, for every 1-to-1 that these things have, these guys are going to have flown in many, many hours and had this thing in a level of proficiency in a simulator where they're so ready to act that,
Right.
yeah, the operator himself is going to be a very expensive part in this whole thing. So who knows?
Right.
Interesting enough, though. I thought it was really unique.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
it will be
it's
successful in the future, not sure. But
yeah, it's one of those, maybe a platform that is something you could take the idea and run with it, and kind of refine it into other things, as you said, with maybe some software and some other things that take away the human lack of proficiency, probably
right,
in a use case.
and then the only other thing that I thought was quite interesting, and I'll bring this up on screen, is that the way that these actual motors and the release components actually are hooked in, and it looks like they've got some main server release that all of a sudden lets these arms flap out and the
Right.
propellers, jettison out. I wonder
Right.
what the life expectancy on one of those things is after a certain period of time, if those clamps lose some strength, and if you might have one motor fly away at one moment, what's going to happen to the actual drone? Is it rendered useless? Does it chew itself up in its own, in its own net? So hopefully there's not a lot of failures in that type of device. So
Right.
interesting though. He's got some other drone prototypes. He's got a courier, an anti-drone rocket prototype, and some other things. But check it out if you guys
Mhm.
think. Let us know what you think in the comments below. I'm pretty much done with this one. You done with it?
Yeah, it was an interesting find. We thought it might be kind of cool to talk about, but yeah, I got nothing else for now.
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and see if this drone interceptor can quote unquote take off. So pretty cool stuff.
Mhm. Nice, well done.
Ah, yeah, you saw that. it was, we haven't done anything about cars since Canoe, huh? We got to start looking at more car stuff next. Just popped my mind. All right, and with that, as I continue to lose my voice with this lovely frog that's in my throat, bye. I will now pass it off to Mr. Corey so he can tell us about, our favorite,
Yeah.
our favorite
Update.
subject of,
Update.
yeah, you know who it is. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah. Okay, so this next one is coming to us from AP News, and it's an update on the SLS. So you guys know on the channel, one of the things we like to follow is any developments in space exploration, anything to do with space, really, regardless of what manufacturer it is. And this update just comes to us as, again, an update about the Artemis mission, the SLS launch platform that is or launch that was scheduled to come up here in June, actually. And if you guys are not aware, the SLS it's a fully stacked system. It's already out at the pad at Cape Canaveral for a wet dress rehearsal. And just an update on that: the third attempt at the wet dress rehearsal did not go as planned. They could not complete it. They had a valve issue on the upper stage prior to the Axiom 1 launch, and they ended up not being able to complete the wet dress rehearsal then. They elected to leave it there, let Axiom 1 fly away, instead of having to bring SLS fully stacked back to the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building, for repairs. They just left it out there and then tried to look at some ways to go around and not test the valve, but do some other tests while it was out there. Axiom 1 took off, and then they did some other things and found out that there was actually now a liquid hydrogen leak in the umbilical line going from the core stage to the launch platform. Obviously, that can't have that either. And then some spike in pressures and some other things while trying to fill it. So couldn't get the wet dress rehearsal done on the third attempt, and then after kind of trying to, again, working around some things, they just said, okay, we're just gonna have to take it back to the VAB, which is going to be happening. So what that means now, there was a launch scheduled for early June. That's a no-go now, so you could just write that down or commit that to memory. What that also means now is Artemis 1 has 3 launch windows coming up in the summer. They are June 6th through the 16th. June 29th through July 17th, and then July 26th through August 9th for Artemis 1, the first, essentially a full-scale test and launch of the SLS system. So that's the quick update. Mike?
I was out there this weekend. I was out by the pad, went to the beach, took some shots, and, beautiful rocket. It's nice to see it on the gantry, where the old shuttle used to be. Very interesting because you get that prominence from the actual rocket looking at you, and that's a nice feeling when you go by and just drive down the beach and you're like, oh man, it's there. It's it's nice to see it.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's a fully huge rocket over there.
Big.
I'm excited.
It's big.
You're excited because
however, as the costs mount up, and as the setbacks mount up to the SLS project, and we knew that they had problems with their initial engine test firings when they were actually, trying to get over some humps not even 2 years ago, a year ago. And you wish them the best, but man, this is crippling for this program. I mean, the cost overruns, we talked about it in previous episodes, and I hate to be negative on it because I really want to see this thing go. But this only gives me that other gut punch, which is one defect in this system on an initial test, and it's over for it because they don't have, in their right mind, who's going to spend more billions of dollars to reproduce this than to start looking at at Starship or something else as a heavy lift alternative that is going to have been like Falcon Heavy. Okay, that might just be your next best solution to getting the job done. Now, I don't know the logistics about the lifting, the lifting potential, about whether that's even a capable one-for-one replacement. However, the cost alone beckons that you have to start looking at alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before on the show. There's so many ways that there are similarities, obviously, to the SLS and the moon, going back to the moon as it was in the 60s, similarities, but many differences as well. I mean, notwithstanding the privatization of space travel is just not even close to what it was then, right? There wasn't any private space travel back when they made their trip in the 60s to the moon. And I can only imagine how exciting it must have been to go out to the Cape Canaveral and see Saturn V's out there on the pad. Like, oh, so cool, right? But it is the way it is, right? And people are very aware of how much it costs, and like you said, the fact that there are other players who are in other smaller rockets, small and medium and large, but now the heavy lift guys. New Glenn is around. There is work still being done at the Blue Origin. They're still there. They're still working on New Glenn. We don't know as much, of course. They're not as public as other people or other operations. And of course, Starship is still around, and we are waiting to see when the FAA will give them the go ahead to launch their test from Boca Chica. And with that being said, in that same mouthful, there's a launch platform going in at
39,
39A.
yeah, they're building it now.
39A, yeah, where Falcon 9s and where SpaceX launches their rockets over
Right.
in the Cape, just east. But in the same little launch complex, there's a pad or a launch gantry going up for Starship. So I mean,
one thing I want to
Yeah.
check out is Everyday Astronaut does have an actual video on their site that's actually the SLS versus Starship. Why do both programs exist? And I'm going to check that out because look,
Right.
the reality of it is how far is too far before you just go, yeah, we're done. We just walk away from this project. And again, it would suck because
there's a
you got to weigh your options about getting things into space, but it's all about velocity. And Elon Musk is bringing up the conversation about repeatability, and then that repeatability becomes
reusability,
becomes
yeah.
cost effective, and cost effective means at this point, if you blow up 3 starships from this point forward to get yourself to a point where you have successful takeoff, landing, the takeoff, orbits, and capture, okay, and
Mhm.
you can do it, and you
And
can
relaunch,
and you could
and
do it
relaunch of
3 times in a
starships.
row after your initial 3 failures from this point forward. Guess what?
Right.
You don't have you have to look at that and go like, what are we doing? Like, based on their history of success here, what are we actually doing? So
Yeah.
it is what
Yeah.
it is. All right, folks.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys tuning in for the update on the SLS. Of course, please leave your comments down below about SLS. Anything about the whole system, let us know. We're happy to talk about it. And again, like we say, and every time we cover different hurdles or hiccups for any of these space programs, we are super excited to see anything going on out of the Cape. And we hope that this goes to plan. It would be great if everything just runs super smooth from now, and then by summer we've seen a Starship launch in orbit and an SLS launch. I mean, awesome,
That would be
super
awesome.
cool. So, but anyway, like, share, subscribe. You guys know we'll keep you up to date. And yeah,
All right,
thank
guys.
you.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll be back next Thursday to talk to you again about some new stuff. Hopefully, you know what? Maybe we'll do all cars next week or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We hit up air taxis again. I know, and urban air mobility stuff. I know that's always
fun.
interesting
All
topic.
right, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Take it easy. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Okay, thanks. Bye. Bye.
Don't jump out of any perfectly good airplanes anymore. I mean, what?
I mean, who?
What? Why? That's all we got, folks. Take care. Have a great night. Peace.